Hello and welcome to my 2022 FIFA World Cup predictions. In this video, I'll be covering everything from beginning to end, so stick around for the whole video. I left timestamps in the description for all the different parts, so check those out. I'll be previewing all 32 teams, I'll be giving thoughts, analysis, and score predictions for every game in the group stage. Then I'll show the final group standings for each group. Then for the knockout stage, I will be doing a deeper dive on each game as I fill out the bracket, all the way through to the final where I'll crown a champion. I'll even be handing out awards at the end, so Golden Ball, Golden Boot, Golden Glove, and Best Young Player. As you all know, the nature of the World Cup is that it's always very unpredictable, so I'm sure I'll be wrong somewhere in this one. But let's get started because I want to be thorough and there's a lot to talk about. First though, I really want to thank all of you that watched my previous World Cup predictions video. You guys got that video over 100,000 views in about 2 weeks, so thank you very much for that. We're still trying to reach the goal of 100,000 subscribers here on the channel, so if you're new and you like this content, please subscribe and become part of the community. I can promise you that you'll get a ton of facts and info in this video, even if you disagree with my takes and opinions. And that's totally fine, by the way. Leave your comments and let me know. Last thing is, if you want to help out this video, drop a like to give it a boost on YouTube. That would be fantastic. Thank you. Without further delay, my new predictions. I know most of you probably already know the groups by heart like I do, or you at least know your favorite team's group. But we try to be thorough here, as I said, so for those who don't know, here's all 8 groups. Each team will play the other 3 teams in their group once, and then after those 3 games, 2 of the 4 teams will advance to the knockout bracket, while the other 2 will be eliminated and go home. So it's pretty straightforward. Even with that, the World Cup produces crazy upsets, magical moments, insane drama every single tournament. And with it only being every 4 years, the anticipation and the gravity of the event feels like the weight of the world each time it comes around. So it really is special. So I'll go through the groups in order, and that means we'll start with Group A, where you have Qatar, the Netherlands, Senegal, and Ecuador. Qatar is the host nation of this World Cup, and there's lots of talk in the media about the problems with that. And I'll mention it briefly what those things are, but I want to talk about the actual team first. It's the first ever World Cup appearance for Qatar, and it's the first time the World Cup has been hosted by an Arab nation. This team are the reigning winners of the Asian Cup back in 2019, which is the continental tournament in Asia. They beat Japan 3-1 in the final after beating Iraq, South Korea, and the UAE in the knockout bracket leading up to that. They went a perfect 7-0 in the tournament. Since 12 years ago when they were awarded the World Cup, they have risen in the FIFA rankings from like 110th to as high as 42nd. The only host nation in history that hasn't advanced past the group stage is South Africa in 2010. So let's see what they can do with this huge opportunity in front of them. Now for the controversy and politics and so on. So Qatar was awarded this World Cup back in 2010, and they have been widely criticized for human rights issues, migrant workers, the climate, public transportation, infrastructure costs, and of course, corruption. The former president of FIFA, Sepp Blatter, has even said publicly that the decision to award Qatar this tournament was a mistake. You guys can look all of this up and read about it, but all of these different issues surrounding Qatar have been and will be hanging over this World Cup, and I'm not sure how that will affect things. The Netherlands have been really impressive with Louis van Gaal back as manager for the 3rd different time. They have the results going for them, unbeaten in 15 games since they lost to the Czech Republic at the Euros last year. Netherlands also advanced to the Nations League semifinals next year. Front to back, the Dutch have a strong squad with Virgil van Dijk and several other good defenders, Frankie de Jong in the midfield, and Memphis Depay up top. I always hear about the other European teams before them, and even though a lot of the European teams have gotten better on paper since 2018, many of them are also not in great form right now, whereas the Netherlands are in good form. I see many things going their way right now, which leads me to believe that they're going to have a successful tournament. Senegal are the current champions of Africa. They are the highest ranked team from Africa, and they are the only one ranked in the top 20, and they have some real good players. Look no further than Sadio Mane. He just finished 2nd in the Ballon d'Or voting to Karim Benzema, and he is their superstar, no doubt about it. The captain is the center back, Kalidou Koulibaly of Napoli and now Chelsea. Real strong and powerful guy. In goal is Edouard Mendy, who has been a very good goalkeeper for Rennes and then Chelsea. Senegal qualified by beating Egypt on penalties after the two legs came out to a 1-1 draw. Sadio Mane smashed in the decisive penalty just as he did in the AFCON final against Egypt to send Senegal to their third ever World Cup. There was definitely some controversy in that second leg penalty shootout as the Senegalese fans absolutely covered the Egyptian players in green lasers as they stepped up to take their penalties. Out of the 5 African teams that qualified, I think Senegal are the best team and also in the best position to go the furthest. Ecuador is one of the 4 South American sides to qualify, and they are returning to the World Cup for the first time since 2014. Their captain is Ener Valencia. He's the leader, the most capped player in the current team, and they will be counting on him to get some goals. In my opinion, they had an impressive qualifying campaign, maybe you could say a bit unexpected. They finished in 4th with 26 points, a +8 goal difference, which is 8 better than Uruguay, who finished 1 spot ahead of them in 3rd. Only Brazil and Argentina conceded less goals than Ecuador, and they were able to finish ahead of teams like Colombia, Peru, and Chile, who did not play great compared to how good these teams were just a few years ago. Ecuador were even ahead of Uruguay for long periods of qualifying before they turned it around with a manager change. So I'm interested to see if they can carry over what they did in qualifying to the World Cup. The first game of the World Cup will be the usual standalone game on Sunday, November 20th, that features the host nation Qatar versus Ecuador, and they will have the big stage all to themselves. They scored 12 goals in 4 games at the Gold Cup before losing to the USA, and Ecuador tied Argentina for second most goals scored in CONMEBOL qualifying. You want to start off on the right foot, and all the statistics back that up. The chances of you going through if you lose the first game are very low. So I'm going with a 1-1 draw. The biggest matchup in the group stage for Group A takes place on the second day of the tournament, and it's Senegal versus the Netherlands, the 2 favorites in the group. The Dutch finished qualifying as the 3rd highest scoring team in Europe, while Senegal will be confident in their ability to defend. It's the first time these 2 nations have ever played each other, and I'm going to go with the Dutch to get the 2-1 victory and get their World Cup started off on the right track. In the second match day, Qatar will play Senegal. Qatar have all that experience and the home fans backing them, but Mendy, Koulibaly, Mane and company present a big challenge for them. I think Senegal will get back on track in this game and win it 2-1. The Netherlands will be taking on Ecuador in the second game. I'm not super confident in their ability to score enough goals to keep up with the Dutch, so I have the score being 3-1. That gives the Netherlands 6 points now and guarantees they are through to the round of 16. On the final day in Group A, Ecuador will meet Senegal. I expect this game to be a tight one with everything on the line. I think Ecuador are a bit of a wild card this tournament. I like Senegal as a team, but in their last 7 games, they have only scored more than 1 or 2 goals one time. But Senegal should have made it out of the group phase 4 years ago, and I don't think they will let it slip this time. I actually have them drawing 1-1, but it's good enough for second place in the group. The 6th and final game in this group is the Netherlands versus Qatar. The Dutch should have no real problems picking up 3 points here in this game. They have the superior squad, and they will be on a mission after missing out on the last World Cup. So I think they will be focused and determined to win this game 3-1 and go undefeated in the group. So here's a look at the final Group A standings. The Dutch are the favorites, and they take care of business with 9 points. Senegal do enough to qualify in second with 4. Ecuador finished third with 2. And the host Qatar only can muster 1 point, and they become the first host nation to finish 4th in the group, and only the second host to fail to qualify from the group at all. On to Group B now. We have England, the United States, Iran, and Wales. England are expected to top Group B because although they have a lack of results in 2022, they do have one of the most talented groups of national team players in the world. At recent major tournaments, Gareth Southgate has got this team to the semifinals and then the final of Euro 2020. Before those successes, Brazil 2014 finished bottom of the group on 1 point after losing to Italy and Uruguay, and then lost in humiliating fashion to Iceland in the round of 16 at the 2016 Euros. But the resurgence of England the last 2 tournaments has their fans believing and expecting them to go all the way this time. But things are not all perfect for the 3 Lions. Like I referenced, in 2022, England have played 8 games in all competitions, and they only have 2 wins, 3 losses, and 3 draws. I don't think Southgate is particularly a great manager tactically. We saw that against Croatia in 2018, where he didn't make any adjustments after Croatia started to dominate. We then saw England take the lead against Italy in the Euro 2020 final and just sort of try to defend the rest of the game, really, and it didn't work out again. There are some other issues I will touch on later, but overall, they should have another good tournament. I think they have a pretty clear path to the quarterfinals at least, and so we'll see if they can make it there and then bring it home. The United States are back at the World Cup after failing to qualify for Russia 2018 by losing to Trinidad and Tobago on the final day of qualifying. It was extremely embarrassing and a real low point in US soccer history. At Brazil 2014, we finished second in the group of death that had Germany, Portugal, and Ghana in it. Thankfully, this next group of players coming through right now is pretty talented, and they finished third in qualifying this time around, sending the US to Qatar. Finished only 3 points off of first place, which Canada and Mexico tied for. There were ups and downs throughout the 14 games, like drawing at home to El Salvador and Canada. We did get 4 points off of Mexico, which was big because they've beaten us so many times in recent years. Some big questions currently surround this national team though. Like, is Greg Berhalter a good manager? Do we have a plan for the striker position? Because the truth is, we don't have an established one that will score goals. Another question is, without Miles Robinson at center back, how good will our back four be? And of course, who is the goalkeeper going to be? Zach Steffen or Matt Turner? Recent results have not been ideal leading up to this tournament either. Our last 2 matches to prepare for the World Cup before it really counts, we drew Saudi Arabia 0-0 and lost to Japan 2-0. Not impressive in those games whatsoever. The US have a manageable group this time around, one we should feel confident about advancing from, so I can't wait to see if we can put it all together. I hope we do. Iran are the highest ranked team from Asia, got here by topping their qualifying group in the 3rd round. They finished 8-1-1 in their 10 games. In their 2 September friendlies, they beat Uruguay 1-0 and drew Senegal 1-1. So Iran are coming into this World Cup with better results or better form than anyone else in this group, and we will see how much of that actually matters in the end. Of course, their main man is Taremi, who is a striker at Porto. He's a good goal scorer for sure. He's been lighting up the Champions League every match day, it feels like. They had some other guys step up too and score goals for them in qualifying. Iran have a pretty solid goalkeeper in Birenvan. He's come up with a bunch of big penalty saves in recent years, including one at the last World Cup in the group stage against Cristiano Ronaldo. I think it's weird they just fired their manager in September that got them through qualifying, but this is a team that will make it tough on whoever they play. They're going to make you earn it. They have never gotten out of the group before at the World Cup, and maybe this is the year that Iran do it for the first time. Wales are headed back to the World Cup for the first time in 64 years. 1958 and 2022 are the only 2 times in their history they have qualified. But for today, their unquestioned superstar is Gareth Bale. He and Wales had that magical Euro 2016 run to the semifinals, probably the story of that tournament. For this tournament, they finished 2nd in their UEFA qualifying group. Pretty tough group that had Belgium and the Czech Republic, 2 teams that made the quarterfinals at the Euros. I'm very interested to see if Bale can reproduce at the World Cup what he did in the qualifying playoffs against Austria and Ukraine. Without playing at club level, he was still extremely dangerous. Scored 2 world-class goals against Austria. Against Ukraine in the playoff final, his free kick took a deflection off Yarmolenko for an own goal, and that's how Wales beat Ukraine in the rain in Cardiff and made it to Qatar. The way I view it is this may be Gareth Bale's last act in football, so he and Wales will definitely want to leave their stamp. What always stands out to me is that they're one of those teams that's really together and unified, and that's usually a recipe for success. So it's such a special accomplishment for a small nation like Wales to make it back to the World Cup again. The first game in Group B is England versus Iran. Both of these teams are looking to open with a statement. England want to lay down a marker again after finishing 4th in 2018. They scored the most goals in European qualifying, but we all know their struggles this year. Iran will desperately want to get out of the group for the first time, but England eventually should be able to break this team down. England wins a tough defensive game 1-0. Day 2 of the World Cup rolls on with the United States meeting Wales. The US will have to find a way to neutralize Bale's impact as he's their main goal-scoring threat. Outside of Aaron Ramsey, Bale has more international goals than the rest of this squad combined. Wales will have to defend a US team that has some quality in it, and I think the Stars and Stripes will get a 1-0 victory. Match day 2 in Group B opens with Wales versus Iran. Both teams coming off of a loss will be in desperation mode, knowing if they lose 2 games in a row, they are out. I could totally see Wales rising up and doing something similar to what they did at the past 2 European Championships, which is to put in a good performance, but this is the World Cup, and things get wild, and I have Iran picking up a 2-1 win. The other game is England versus the United States. This game is taking place on Friday, November 25th, which is the day after Thanksgiving, meaning everyone in America will be at home and watching this game. It has the primetime slot that day in Qatar, and in my opinion, it will be the most watched US soccer game in history. I know England have other bigger rivals, but USA England definitely have history. South Africa 2010, these teams met and we saw a 1-1 draw. The US is actually unbeaten in World Cups against England, and I think we can hang with this team. But I've gone with a 2-1 win for the Three Lions because I have too much uncertainty at the moment about different aspects of the US men's national team. When I look at our back line, it's not our strength. England have so much attacking talent, and I don't feel confident in our ability to score against England when we don't have a proven striker. Regardless of what I think though, I know this game is going to be an absolute battle, and I can't wait for it. Wales versus England is a classic we saw back at Euro 2016, where Gareth Bale scored an insane free kick and then Daniel Sturridge scored a dramatic late winner. I think Wales will battle hard, and I think they will scrap out a 1-1 draw. I could see both goalkeepers, Pickford and Hennessy, having great games. The last group game will determine the final spot in the round of 16 for this group, and unfortunately I have the US going out with a 1-0 win for Iran, but I'm not happy about it. Please go prove me wrong and get out of this group, USA. There's enough quality in this team, and they absolutely can do it. But my fear is that someone like Taremi will nick a goal against us and send us out. So at the end of Group B, here's what it looks like. England topped the group as expected. Iran advanced to the round of 16 for the first time in their nation's history. The United States come up just short of the goal of making it out of the group. And Wales come in last in what has to be a bit disappointing since this team has given their fans a bunch of special moments in recent years. Group C has Argentina, Mexico, Poland, and Saudi Arabia. Argentina are among the very top favorites to win this World Cup. Managed by Lionel Scaloni, they have one of the best and deepest squads going to Qatar. Last summer, this national team finally broke through for Messi, and they won the Copa America, Messi's first international trophy after losing 3 previous Copa America finals. They had to beat Brazil at the Maracanã to get it done. Flipping it forward, Argentina went unbeaten in World Cup qualifying on their way to Qatar. 11 wins, 6 draws, 0 losses. Scaloni has these men on the longest international unbeaten streak in the world right now, 35 in a row going back to Copa America 2019. So Argentina haven't lost a game in 3.5 years. Now I think they'd rather win the World Cup than worry about some record, but it just goes to show you how much they have improved since 2018, where honestly they were a bit of a mess. They drew Iceland, where Messi had his penalty saved. They got dismantled in the next game, 3-0 by Croatia, and it took a world-class goal from Messi and then a late winner against Nigeria to get them through. Brazil 2014, they made it to a World Cup final against Germany, and I just know Messi is still thinking about standing on the field after that game at the Maracanã, and he knows his team is good enough to win it this time. So we will see what they have in store, because I think this is the best Argentina team of the last decade or so. Mexico are once again going to a World Cup hoping to get past the round of 16. They have been eliminated at that stage in every World Cup going back to 1994, so that's 7 World Cups in a row. They still have a good team even though they have been trending down a bit the past few years. Chucky Lozano, Edson Alvarez, Guillermo Ochoa, Raul Jimenez. They have good players at the critical positions for sure. Tata Martino has been the coach since 2019. But there's issues there. Some of the Mexican fans have chanted Tata out at games, and I don't blame them. They've been upset with how the team is playing, despite the wins or whatever results they've gotten. Another example of an issue is not having Chicharito called up to the squad since 2019 for some off-the-field reason when he's the all-time Mexican goal-scoring leader. So the team has come up short, and there's problems between the coach and then players and fans. I'm not sure who the next manager would be, but I'm a little surprised they didn't make a change in 2022. That's the story to me with El Tri at this World Cup. There's not a lot of optimism around the team right now, so it's going to be up to the coach to get this national team headed back in the right direction. Will Mexico perform well and make it out of this group, or will they not even reach the round of 16? And then certainly a reset can take place if that happens. Poland suffered a dud of a World Cup in 2018 where they were eliminated after only their first 2 games, but they have qualified again, beating Sweden in the UEFA playoff final in March. All the focus on this team will be about Robert Lewandowski, who is either 1A or 1B for best striker in the world. All this guy needs is a little service, and he can do amazing things. He's the Polish goal machine. Now, I'm not sure how good Poland are, but the manager change got them to the World Cup, and now we'll see if they can make up for what happened 4 years ago in Russia. 2 years before that, at Euro 2016, we did see them make a run to the quarterfinals, and they went out on penalties to Portugal. So they got very close to a semifinal, but since then, they haven't impressed too much. Saudi Arabia is fortunate that this World Cup is in one of the Gulf countries because I'm not expecting them to rise up and make it out of this group. And now you have to play Argentina, Mexico, and Poland. They are the second lowest ranked team headed to Qatar, and they have only reached the round of 16 one time in their 6 World Cup appearances. But this is as close to a home World Cup that Saudi Arabia is ever going to have, so maybe they can take advantage of that support. Argentina's first game is against Saudi Arabia. If I'm being honest, I feel this is one of the most lopsided matchups of the entire group stage when you look at the two teams on paper, but as long as Argentina get off the bus, I don't see any possible way they don't win big. I have it as 4-0, but it definitely could be one of those games that's 5 or 6. Mexico versus Poland right off the bat is critical for getting out of this group. Eltree have something to prove at this World Cup with all of their issues. Poland come into this tournament looking to right the wrongs of their previous two, and I actually think they will start off well with a 2-1 win over Mexico. Poland have another opportunity to get 3 points on match day 2 when they take on Saudi Arabia, and this is a game they should win. I think Saudi Arabia will fight hard, but I do have Poland winning a close one, 1-0. Argentina-Mexico will be built up as a big matchup, and it is. Mexico will be looking to topple one of the giants for the second straight World Cup. A victory against Messi and a top favorite would definitely help out the perception around the Mexican national team big time. In my previous predictions, I said that this game feels like a classic CONMEBOL match that's physical, full of yellow cards. I do still believe that's going to be the case, but I'm going to update my pick here and go with a 2-1 victory for Argentina. After the first two results, it leaves Poland versus Argentina both on 6 points and playing for first in the group on match day 3. I'm not sure if it's actually going to turn out that way, but I do know that Lionel Messi versus Robert Lewandowski is a big-time game that will draw a lot of attention. I think Argentina will once again show their quality and win against Poland 2-0. I expect them to control this game, possess the ball, and eventually break down the Polish defense. So Argentina are the ones on top of Group C. I think they will look great and win this group with 9 points. Poland come in second, Mexico third, but I feel like this is sort of a 50-50. I could also see Mexico going through. And in last is Saudi Arabia. Don't think that I hate their team or anything because I don't, but I just think they're going to have a rough go of it in Qatar. Group D has the current world champions France, Denmark, Tunisia, and Australia. France are one of the giants of European and world football, and they are going to Qatar trying to defy the odds and be the third country to win back-to-back World Cups, and the first since Pele's Brazil teams in 1958-1962. They're still led by Didier Deschamps, one of only 3 people in history to win the World Cup as a player and a manager. They have one of the deepest and most talented national teams in the world. They probably are number 1. Kylian Mbappe is a total superstar. He and Pele are the only 2 teenagers ever to score in a World Cup final. Karim Benzema, world class as well. He just won the Ballon d'Or for the incredible year he had with Real Madrid. We could go down the list of all the talent they have, but there may be some cracks in the armor. N'Golo Kante is out with a hamstring injury, and Paul Pogba may not be back in time either. And that's your starting midfield. The overarching question for France is, will they be able to repeat and win the World Cup this year? It's going to be a very tall mountain to climb, but they are equipped to do it, so I'm intrigued to see how they do. Denmark were the darlings of the Euros last year. I definitely don't view them as a dark horse after the last couple years they have had. In this qualifying cycle, Denmark won the group that had Austria, Scotland, and Israel in it. Not the toughest group, but they had 9 wins and 1 loss in those 10 games, scored 30 goals and only conceded 3. 8 of their 10 games, they kept a clean sheet. They impressed me last year with how fit they are, how united they are, how strong they are physically, and of course they have the quality. Højbjerg and Delaney in the midfield are 2 excellent players. They have good defenders, led by their captain, Simon Kjær. Their goalkeeper, Kasper Schmeichel, has been very good for a long time. Up front, Braithwaite, Eriksson, Damsgaard, and more. And this team is loaded with international experience. They have a good manager in Kasper Hjulmand. I think Denmark are one of the handful of teams that can actually win the World Cup. But on the other hand, they've only made it to the quarterfinals once, so you will obviously need to go a bit further than that for the first time if you want to win it. Tunisia have made it to 2 consecutive World Cups now after qualifying for 2018 as well. They beat Mali 1-0 on aggregate to qualify. They've never made it past the group stage before in their 5 trips to the World Cup. The good news is that they didn't really concede much in qualifying, only allowed 3 goals in 8 games. But in order for Tunisia to advance, they will need some big performances from Wabi Kazri. He's the star man, he was the goal scoring leader in qualifying. There's no doubt they will need to pull some big upsets to make the round of 16 for the very first time. Australia have made the World Cup again after a long and grinding path. They beat the UAE to make the Confederation playoffs, and then they beat Peru on penalties. So they ultimately played 20 qualifying games in total. Just like Denmark, they were also in the same group as France in 2018, and they're going to be hoping their captain and goalkeeper Matt Ryan has a real good World Cup for them. The opening game in Group D is Denmark versus Tunisia. The Danes will be looking to get off on the right foot against the North African side. I expect Denmark to dominate the game and get the goals as well. I could see a 3-0 victory, clean sheet, and just an all-around performance. France and Australia will meet each other in the first game for the second straight tournament. I think it's a different situation now in 2022, but I think France will narrowly escape with a 1-0 win. Tunisia-Australia kicks off match day 2 in Group D. These teams have met twice in the past, with each side winning once. This may be a little bit crazy, where we get like a 2-2 draw. If either side has a chance of making it to the last 16 though, you gotta get 3 points in this game. France and Denmark have met a couple times in recent years. In Russia 2018, they played one of the only 0-0 draws of the tournament. They ended up in the same Nations League group, where Denmark beat them in Paris and then beat them again in Copenhagen this year. Overall, Denmark have the better results this year and are on better form at the moment. This will be the first matchup at this World Cup of 2 top 10 ranked teams, and I'm predicting a 1-1 draw. It's hard to see France losing to Denmark for the 3rd time this year, but if they don't play better than they have been, then it's possible for sure. On the last day in Group D, Australia played Denmark. One of the stories this year, as I said, will be Christian Eriksen and his return to the World Cup. Besides that, I think Denmark are really good. I don't see Australia beating them, so I have it finishing 2-0. In Group D, Denmark get the top spot ahead of France based on goal difference. So France end up in second and avoid the curse of the champions, but do not win the group despite 7 points. Australia and Tunisia tie as well for 3rd on 1 point, and I see the Socceroos emerging ahead just barely. Group E has Spain, Germany, Japan, and Costa Rica. Spain are simply a top footballing nation and have a great culture. A decade ago, Spain won 3 major tournaments in a row, and they look like the best team ever. Now under Luis Enrique, they're trying to establish the next generation of Spanish footballers because following a golden generation is not easy. And Spain struggled at World Cup 2014, getting group staged after losing to the Netherlands and Chile. Euro 2016 wasn't much better, lost in the round of 16 to a not so great Italian side, and losing on penalties to Russia in World Cup 2018 was really the exclamation point on that. But last summer, they rebounded and made a European semifinal once again. So Spain have quickly risen again after they saw a surge in young talent. Mix that with the experienced players they already have, and that's their recipe for success. Luis Enrique has seemingly endless options at all their positions, so he'll have to tweak his team and try to find the most effective 11. Germany are looking to quickly erase the scars of Russia 2018 from their memory. The reigning world champions at that time were knocked out in the group after losing to Mexico and then South Korea. This is a proud and wildly successful footballing country, 4 times World Cup winners. Hansi Flick is the new national team manager, taken over in September 2021 for Jogi Löw. In the 15 games since then that Flick has been in charge, they have 9 wins, 5 draws, and the only loss is to Hungary in a Nations League game. He's quickly got them back on the right track and playing well. Germany were not really a top side anymore in recent years, and changes clearly needed to be made. People forget, not only is Hansi Flick proven himself to be a great manager when he was at Bayern, he's also already won the World Cup with Germany in 2014. So Flick knows what it takes to win. At Bayern, he won the league twice and then won the Champions League, all in quite dominating fashion. And I'm so happy that Joshua Kimmich can finally play a tournament for Germany where he's an actual midfielder in a 4-2-3-1. We will also be seeing Leroy Sané at this World Cup since he was one of the top guys who got left home in 2018. I think when you look around this current German side, they have a new identity, plus the quality to make another deep run and return Germany to its former glory at these tournaments. So how far can Germany go this winter? Because they've been down for a little while, and they seem eager to announce themselves and leave a stamp on Qatar 2022. Japan has made their 7th World Cup in a row, and unfortunately, they have found themselves in this group that has 2 World Cup winning nations in it. Japan have had some World Cup success though, making the knockout stage 3 times out of those 7. In Russia 2018, Japan beat Colombia, and it was the first time ever at a World Cup that an Asian team beat a South American team. Japan were so close to beating Belgium and advancing to the quarterfinals. I don't see that happening again this year, but they are the second highest ranked team from Asia. They qualified sort of comfortably in their group, and here they are again. They beat the US 2-0 in a September friendly, and they only lost 1-0 to Brazil earlier this year in June. Their coach even said publicly that their goal is to make the quarterfinals. That's the target. So let's see what they can do. Costa Rica, Los Ticos, were the 32nd and final team to book their place at Qatar 2022. They got here by beating New Zealand 1-0 in the international playoff. They're one of the smallest Central American countries, yet they have this determination that has gotten them the results. They are more than happy to do what works for them, which is to be a gritty team and defend deep in front of a great goalkeeper in Keylor Navas. They still don't concede many goals today, and they also don't score many goals, so that's what we should expect from them. Even in qualifying for Qatar, they started off rough, but really got hot in 2022, and they were able to claw their way into 4th place. Germany and Japan will meet in the first game of Group E on match day 1. These two had very different tournaments last time around. I think the Germans, though, are going to show everyone that they are back, and that starts here with a 2-0 win. Spain will be right at home with tons of possession, and Costa Rica will be right at home defending in a low block and trying to play on the counter. And those kind of teams have given Spain problems in the past, and they still have some of the same issues in the final third. So I think Spain may start the tournament slow, just as they did at the Euros, coming away with a 1-1 draw. I'm sure Spain will have 75% possession in this game, but Keylor Navas is excellent, and I think he's capable of having a huge game. Japan versus Costa Rica on paper seems to be a defensive battle. Both teams haven't conceded many goals. I think they will continue that streak here though with a 2-1 win over the Ticos. Spain versus Germany is probably the biggest game in the entire group stage. Two giants will meet again at the World Cup. Their last World Cup meeting was 2010 in the semifinals. Puyol's header sent Spain to the final. It's truly a heavyweight game where both teams have expectations of winning this World Cup. Two very talented teams here, but I have Germany rising up and winning 1-0. Japan versus Spain on match day 3 would be a big tie if my predictions are correct. Spain would be bottom of the group on 1 point, while Japan are on 3. That means only a win will get Spain into the round of 16. And fortunately for them, I do have them getting a 2-1 victory here. I could see it getting real scary for them though if Japan score the first goal of the game. Costa Rica versus Germany in the last game will be another interesting matchup. At this point, Costa Rica may have to go for broke and open their style of play up to try and go and get a win. That could leave them vulnerable at the back, and Germany have a bunch of good attackers that can exploit that. One way or another, I think Germany will get the job done and win 3-1. So Germany advanced to the knockout round with swagger this time, gathering 9 points in the group stage. Spain turned it around on the final day to end up on 4 points in 2nd place. Japan do not do enough at Qatar 2022, and they go home in 3rd place with 3 points. In 4th, Costa Rica are unfortunate to end up with just 1, but Group E has 2 clear favorites that will make it hard to overcome. Group F has Belgium, Croatia, Canada, and Morocco. Belgium are currently ranked number 2 in the world by FIFA. They held the number 1 spot for over 3 years. They had their best World Cup ever in 2018, finishing 3rd. Roberto Martinez has been the coach for 6 years, but they still have not won a trophy with this group of players. They qualified pretty comfortably for Qatar, but then followed it up with a rough patch in the Nations League. Some of the best in the world are in this team. Kevin De Bruyne, Thibaut Courtois, Romelu Lukaku. That's been the question with this golden generation, and it will continue to be until they get over the hump, if they ever do. Their last 2 major tournaments, they have went out against the eventual champions, and many people will look at 2022 as their last hope of striking gold. Eden Hazard is the captain, but he has totally fallen off since World Cup 2018. Repeated injuries, form going away. If Belgium want to win, they need him to contribute. But my eyes this tournament will be on Kevin De Bruyne. Last year at the Euros, he had multiple injuries plaguing him. As one of the very top players on the planet, can he be the player we see at Manchester City and drag this team far in the tournament and maybe win it. Croatia were the surprise runners-up in the 2018 World Cup. They lost 4-2 to France in the final at the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow, but the entire run they went on was an amazing achievement for such a small country of only around 4 million people. Zlatko Dalic is the manager and has done a good job with this team. They've dealt with some key departures from 2018 like Mandzukic, Rakitic, Subasic. Modric is the superstar midfielder. He's 37 years old, 5-time winner of the Champions League, including helping Madrid go all the way in 2022. Croatia's captain, leader, been part of this national team since 2006, and this will very likely be his final World Cup. After 2018, they've been a little up and down, like in 2020 wasn't great, but they have turned it around in 2022 and have good results. Narrowly beat Russia and won their qualifying group, beat France and Denmark 1-0 in June. They only have one loss in 8 games this year. They won their Nations League group, sending them to the Final Four for the first time of that competition. I just know 2018 was an amazing achievement for Croatia, and I want to see how they follow it up after a good run of form this year. Morocco had a real strong campaign to qualify, went 6-0, scored 20 goals, and only conceded 1. They also beat the Congo 5-2 on aggregate to secure their spot. The second leg in Casablanca was 4-1 Morocco, an emphatic and convincing scoreline. They made a run to the quarterfinals at AFCON, but went out against Egypt in extra time. Morocco's another team that fired their manager after successfully getting them through qualifying, but now they have a new manager, and Ziyech is back in the team. So if everything works out, then give Morocco credit for making an aggressive move, trying to sort things out before the World Cup. If you watch Morocco play, watch their fullbacks, Hakimi and Mazraoui. They may have the best duo at fullback at this World Cup. They are both very good players, and they both start for giant clubs in Europe. Your striker is still En-Nesyri, and they need to find a way to get consistent goals somehow. The goalkeeper Bono is definitely a good player too, and he will need to play well in order to get out of the group. So Morocco have not won a game at the World Cup since France 1998, and they're in a tough group, and they surely will be tested in every game. Canada have made their first World Cup in more than 30 years. The coach John Herdman deserves a lot of credit because this team finished top of CONCACAF qualifying. They've moved from 72nd in the world rankings up to around 40th. They had 8 wins in the 14 games with some impressive results along the way. The star of this team is Alphonso Davies, 21 years old and already has 34 caps with Canada going back to 2017. He's played regularly for Bayern for a few seasons now, won the Champions League with them in 2020 in Portugal. He's one of those very few players in the world that truly has insane pace, and I can't wait to see how he fares in this group. Kyle Larin led CONCACAF in goal scoring and is Canada's all-time scoring leader. Jonathan David is right behind him in second, and he's one of the top young attacking talents in Europe. He plays for Lille in France and was part of the team that won the league in 2020. I've been impressed by Canada, but they have not beaten a European team since Belarus in 2011. That's what they will be up against at the World Cup. Morocco and Croatia get us started in Group F, probably the closest thing we have to a group of death in 2022. Croatia will need to watch out because this Moroccan team could pull a surprise result against them for sure. Both teams have been scoring goals and keeping clean sheets as of late, so something has to give. I think we will see the attacking talent on display here, and I think Croatia win a tough game 2-1. Belgium-Canada is an intriguing one to me, much more so than if you just look at it on paper, where Belgium are ranked number 2, Canada 41. They have some talented goal scorers that can cause the Red Devils some problems. On the other hand, Belgium have one of the very best, if not the best, international managers in Roberto Martinez. The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that Kevin De Bruyne will just clearly be the best player on the field in this game. That's why I think Belgium will win 2-0. There's no real way they'll be able to stop him from influencing the game. Belgium faced Morocco in Game 2, and it's possible this game is closer than people expect. Morocco will probably rely on the creativity of Hakim Ziyech to create their chances, along with their fullbacks getting forward, and I can see Belgium having a problem or two with that. I think Belgium will not be a perfect 3-0 in the group stage as they were 4 years ago, because I have this game finishing 1-1 at full time. Croatia-Canada is another huge test for Canada as they come up against another top midfield. In their first 2 games, they'll have to deal with Kevin De Bruyne and then Luka Modric, so they will obviously need to play well to have a chance. I think Canada will bounce back nicely though and actually pick up a 1-1 draw. Croatia-Belgium is the biggest game in the group and it's the third game. A convenient draw here will get both teams through, but I don't have that. I think Croatia will get the better of Belgium and win the group with a 2-1 win. Canada and Morocco will both be on the outside looking in and hoping there's not a draw in the other game. I would expect an exciting game if both teams have to go for it. So with that being the situation, I'm going to go for the second 2-2 draw of the group stage. 4 goals in this game to close out probably the most competitive group we see in 2022. So after 3 games, Croatia are first, extending their run of form and following up 2018 by winning the group again. Belgium also advanced in second place and will be a very dangerous group runner-up. Morocco put up a fight to be proud of, but I still have them falling short of getting out of the group in third place. And Canada's return to the World Cup does not go as planned as they come in last on the same 2 points as Morocco. Group G, we have Brazil, Switzerland, Serbia, and Cameroon. Brazil are the #1 ranked team in the world and top favorites to win this World Cup. They're the most successful team in history at the World Cup, winning it 5 times, the last one coming in 2002. Brazil are also the only country to play in every single World Cup. They were the first team to win the World Cup for the 3rd time, the 4th time, and the 5th time. So they are truly the best of the best. They're the team you think about when you think of the World Cup. They have some of the greatest players in history. You can start with Pele, and they certainly have one of the most talented and experienced teams in the world today. They qualified for Qatar by finishing top of the table in CONMEBOL. They finished on 45 points. 45 was the most points a South American team has earned in qualifying going back to 2002. They went 14 wins, 3 draws, and no losses in 17 games. Tite has an incredible record going with this national team since taking over in 2016. 58 wins, 13 draws, and only 5 losses in 76 games. They are unbeaten in 28 of their last 29 matches, with the lone loss being the Copa America final last year. As for the players, Neymar is the superstar on this team. He's truly a world-class player, and he's still the most expensive transfer in history. He hasn't had the most success with Brazil, but he did help win the gold medal at the 2016 Olympics. He scored the 5th and final penalty. He is Brazil's 2nd all-time leading scorer, only behind Pele by 2 goals. So if Neymar can tie or pass Pele at the World Cup, that will be a special moment. His squad definitely runs much deeper than the one superstar on the top. They're full of guys who play at all the top clubs in Europe. Thiago Silva is one of Brazil's top 5 most capped players ever, along with Neymar. He's the captain and the leader of this team at the back, and this is his last World Cup at 38. His partner at the back is Marquinhos, captain at PSG. I think he's the future captain of Brazil. In goal, they have 2 world-class goalkeepers, probably both in the top 5, with Alisson and Ederson. Up in the midfield, they have 2 of the best holding midfielders in the world in Casemiro and Fabinho. On the wing, they have one of the best young superstars in the world, Vinicius Jr. As I said, Brazil are the #1 ranked team heading into this tournament, but make no mistake, this is a must-win moment for Brazil. Switzerland have made it to the World Cup for the 12th time, and just like 2018, they're in the same group as Brazil and Serbia. This team finished ahead of Italy in their qualifying group by 2 points. Vladimir Petkovic left the team after the Euros last year. The new manager got them to the World Cup in the last qualifying game thanks to a result that Northern Ireland got against Italy. And afterwards, he literally sent 20 pounds of Swiss chocolate to the Northern Ireland Federation as a thank you. Jan Sommer saved penalties from Jorginho in both games that Switzerland played against the new European champions Italy. They were losing 3-1 to France with not a lot of time left, and they pulled it out of the fire with 2 late goals, forced extra time, and then forced penalties. And Jan Sommer went ahead and saved Mbappe's penalty to eliminate the world champions. So what I'm saying is, pay attention to the Swiss. They do have quality players. I know this team gets underestimated, but all I know is going back to 2014, Switzerland have gone toe-to-toe with some of the very top teams. Serbia have now made 4 of the past 5 World Cups, but they haven't gotten out of the group stage yet in that time period. They won their group, finishing ahead of Portugal and beating them head-to-head in stoppage time. The Serbs got their ticket to Qatar right then and there. Mitrovic is the top goal scorer in the country's history. He's actually got 50 goals in 76 games. Pretty impressive. He also lit up the championship in 2021 with Fulham, scored 43 goals and set the new league record for most in the season. Dusan Vlahovic for Juve has been awesome, even though It's a struggling team, to be kind, and this will be his first international tournament. So this team shouldn't be brushed aside. Several of their players play in Serie A, and they will be tough to deal with. Cameroon have reached the World Cup again for the 8th time, and they've qualified more than any other African nation. They'll be looking to win their first World Cup game since 2002. They qualified in dramatic fashion in the second leg against Algeria. Toko Ekambi scored in the 124th minute in stoppage time of extra time and completely broke Algeria's hearts and sent Cameroon through on a away goal tiebreaker. They hosted AFCON in 2021 but fell to Egypt in the semifinals in penalties. They have some players playing in Europe to note, starting with goalkeeper Andre Onana, who I like a lot. He played several seasons for Ajax, won 3 league titles there, and was pretty excellent before moving on to Inter. Many of you will also know Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting at Bayern. He was Lewandowski's backup for years, and he'll be starting up top at striker. The captain is Vincent Aboubakar, who's in the Saudi League now. He was the top scorer at AFCON. The hero Toko Ekambi plays in France for Lyon and had a good AFCON too. It's going to be very hard in this group, but I'm confident they will put up a fight. We saw that at AFCON, and I think we'll see it again. Switzerland-Cameroon is the first Group G fixture. The Swiss can get off to a good start here with a win. They're trying to get out of the group for their 3rd straight World Cup. Cameroon will be trying to spoil the party with an upset right off the bat. I think that's going to prove difficult though, as Switzerland have done well not conceding goals in the past year. So I think that continues, and Switzerland start with a close 1-0 win. Brazil are one of the last teams to play since they are in the second to last group, and they will begin with Serbia. Serbia have played 2 games against Brazil before, and they have not managed to get a goal. I think that changes in this one. Serbia have several quality players. However, I think Brazil will be too much in the end and put up 3. To start off matchday 2, Cameroon-Serbia clash. Another game here where both teams really need a win. Serbia are a good team and they present challenges, but Cameroon do as well. That's why I have this one coming out to a 1-1 draw. In my mind, we're going to see a defensive battle where both teams scratch and claw to get the ball over the line. Brazil faces Switzerland in a rematch of 2018, where Switzerland managed to draw them after Coutinho's fantastic goal from the edge of the box. I have Tite's men winning a close one, 2-1. Serbia-Switzerland come together in the final group game. Last World Cup, these teams played an awesome game. Xhaka scored a rocket of a goal, and then Shaqiri followed it up with a 90th minute winner. I think Serbia are going to flip the script this time and win a thriller 3-2. Cameroon against Brazil is the last game, and with Brazil already having basically won the group, I think they will use this as an opportunity to rest some players. That's why I think Cameroon will steal a point here, 1-1. Obviously, it would likely be a different story if Brazil go full blast, but I'm going to go with something unpredictable here. So in Group G, Brazil still land in first, and that's to be expected. 7 points instead of 9 may not be expected, however. I have Serbia finishing ahead of Switzerland this go-around, the reverse of 4 years ago when Switzerland took second. And then finally, Cameroon proudly represent African football, but 2 points will not be enough. Group H has Portugal, Uruguay, South Korea, and Ghana. Portugal are the favorites in this group, but it wasn't all fun and games for them trying to qualify. They had to do it the hard way by going through the playoff. They had to beat Turkey and then North Macedonia, but in the end, they did make it, led by captain Cristiano Ronaldo in what is probably his last World Cup. It's also probably the most talented Portuguese team that I can remember in recent times, so for that reason, you'd have to say this is Ronaldo's best chance to win a World Cup. He's one of the biggest stars on the planet and one of the greatest footballers ever. European champion, 2016. Most goals in the history of the European Championships. Most international goals. Has the most goals and appearances for Portugal. Still looking for his first ever World Cup knockout goal. It remains to be seen though if the manager Fernando Santos can get the best out of this group and help Ronaldo lift that ultimate prize. He's been widely criticized for years now for his style of play, etc., but it did get Portugal their first ever international trophy, and also won the first ever Nations League trophy in 2019. In 2014, they were group staged in Brazil, lost to Uruguay in the round of 16 in Russia, and round of 16 again last year at the Euros, lost to Belgium. It was their nation's lowest ever finish at the Euros, 13th. It feels like this team should be getting further with the cast of talent they have. The best part is, many of these players are versatile and can play in different spots. so there's no excuses for continuing to come up short. I think quarterfinals at least is the target here for Portugal, but based off what we've seen under Santos, there are definitely no guarantees, but I would love to see Ronaldo make a deep run. Uruguay are two-time winners of the World Cup, and they will be looking to get back on par with Brazil and Argentina. Their best result since the 1970 World Cup was 4th place at South Africa 2010. 2014 was a round of 16 exit against Colombia after Luis Suarez was suspended for biting Chiellini in the group stage. 2018 was a quarterfinals exit against the eventual champions France. And as I said, qualifying wasn't going so well. They lost 4 games in a row by a combined score of 11-1. So they had to sack Oscar Tabarez, who was in charge for 15 years, and the new manager Alonso comes in, wins 4 games in a row, and gets Uruguay back to the World Cup. It will probably be the last World Cup for several of their key players like Diego Godin, Luis Suarez, Edinson Cavani. On the flip side, Federico Valverde is a young player who's had a spectacular start to the season for Real Madrid, and he will be a big contributor in Qatar. Rodrigo Bentancur of Juventus is another good young midfielder. Everyone will also be paying attention to Darwin Núñez. Liverpool's striker has a ton of ability and could score some goals in his first World Cup. He will be the new face of Uruguay's attack after Suarez and Cavani hang it up. Uruguay will be hoping that they can do what they did in 2018, which is beat Portugal, and this time around, that would help them win this group. South Korea will be looking to replicate their 2002 World Cup run 20 years later in Qatar. They have made every World Cup going back to 1982, but have only advanced past the group stage twice, and this year will be difficult for them again. In 2018, they did make big headlines as they were the ones who beat world champions Germany 2-0 in the final group game in Kazan. Their star player is Son of Tottenham. He's one of Asia's most famous athletes, period. Last season, he won the Premier League's Golden Boot with 23 goals. He had a second-half hat-trick in September for Spurs against Leicester. Their key to success will be filling in the supporting cast around him. The center-back Kim at Napoli has come in and replaced Koulibaly very nicely, so that's encouraging to see. So it'll take a big effort, and maybe Son will have to produce some hat-trick heroics for South Korea to advance. Ghana are looking to rebound at this World Cup after a very disappointing AFCON that saw them get group staged and have to make a manager change. They have been a decent World Cup team. They have some pretty talented players in this side too. Walcott between the posts, the brothers Jordan and Andre Ayew, Thomas Partey from the midfield of Arsenal, Mohamed Kudus at Ajax will be making his debut, Inaki Williams of Bilbao changed his national team from Spain to Ghana and is in line to start at striker for the Black Stars. I've even seen rumors about Callum Hudson-Odoi calling it quits with England basically and also joining Ghana. All of these players are exciting and it makes them a dangerous team. So I'll be curious to see how much better Ghana look a year removed from a tough African tournament. The last group begins with Uruguay and South Korea. Uruguay should be the favorites here as they have the better team, and South Korea have only won 3 of their last 13 World Cup games. Both of these teams have done well in 2022. Both sides have awesome goal scorers. I just see Uruguay winning this one 2-1 and keeping their reign of dominance over Korea going. Portugal and Ghana collide next, where the Portuguese are group favorites and they need to start off with a successful first game. Portugal beat Ghana 8 years ago in Brazil, and I think they win by the same scoreline. South Korea-Ghana is a unique test for each team. South Korea played Portugal last, so this may be their last chance to get a win. I have the game coming out as a 0-0 draw, the first and only one of the 64 matches without a goal in my predictions. In the end, it's a point for both teams, yes, but nobody will feel satisfied with that. Portugal-Uruguay is the heavyweight matchup here, and it's a rematch for the Portuguese against the team that eliminated them in 2018. Everyone will be picking Portugal to win in this spot, but I've gone against the grain and picked Uruguay to win 1-0. Uruguay faced Ghana in the last game, and with their previous result, they are in the driver's seat and just need to avoid a historic collapse to win the group. I have gone with another twist and turn at the very end of the group stage here though, where I actually have Ghana picking up 3 points against Uruguay. The good news is that it's only 2-1, and Uruguay are still in great shape to go through on top. It just depends on results from the other game, which is South Korea and Portugal, the very last game of the group stage. Portugal can win the group here with a win by at least 2 goals. So, do they have it in them to take advantage of Uruguay slipping up? I say no. I have Portugal getting the win over Korea. but only 1-0, so enough for second place, but that's all. To recap the last group, Uruguay finish on top of Portugal via tiebreaker. Ronaldo's side will take second in the group again. Ghana earned the third spot with that win over the Uruguayans. South Korea come in fourth, getting a point in the game in which they didn't even score in. With the group stage now complete, let's zoom out for a moment and look at the final group standings for Qatar 2022. The top 2 finishers in each group have advanced to the knockout bracket, so I'm wondering how many teams will I correctly pick here to make the last 16. But this is where the sharp end of the tournament begins. The knockout phase is the best part of the World Cup, and this is where I will get into these teams a little bit deeper as I go through the picks. So let's continue on with the bracket, starting with the round of 16. The Netherlands and Iran will get us going here. This one is pretty straightforward for me. The Orange are Group A winners and won all 3 of their group games. Virgil van Dijk, Frankie de Jong, and Memphis Depay are great players at each of the 3 levels of the team. They're going to be the ones that are expected to be the star players. With Louis van Gaal rejuvenating the team after a lull under Frank de Boer, I think we'll see a free-flowing, progressive Dutch team that gets us excited again like it's 2010 or 2014. For Iran, this doesn't feel like a good matchup. I expect that keeping the ball is going to be a problem against Holland's midfielders. I don't think the Netherlands will feel threatened by the counterattack either with the likes of Van Dijk, De Ligt, De Vrij, Timber. So I have the Netherlands keeping their perfect record at this World Cup alive and beating Iran 1-0 and moving on to the last 8. Iran have done well to escape the group, but this opponent proves to be too strong. Argentina-France, what a matchup we have here. Rematch of the round of 16 from 2018. That was one of the best games of the tournament, lots of goals. Mbappe exploded that game and had a brace. We saw Benjamin Pavard's goal of the tournament in that game, 4-3 final. The circumstances are different now, and I think we'll see a different game. Argentina are improved all over the pitch. Goalkeeper was an issue then, it's sorted now, and it's actually a strength. The defense is rock solid and they have multiple options at each spot. Maybe most importantly, the midfield is now excellent and can compete with any other midfield in the world. All of this adds up to Messi having the supporting cast around him that he didn't really have as much in previous World Cups. It's not all on him anymore to win them the games. We've seen the evidence of this during the 35-game unbeaten run, and especially at the Copa America. On the French side, yes, they have an unbelievable roster, but with many question marks about this team, from form to injuries to tactics, I think they will find it tough in this game. France under Deschamps likes to disregard possession, for lack of a better phrase, and play on the counter, but I think this Argentina team can really punish that approach now. It feels like despite all of this talent, they're relying on Benzema and Mbappe to be the superstars versus having a complete system that's organized like they had in 2018. If you remember, someone like Blaise Matuidi was really important for them. Pogba and Kante's experience and defensive work being absent will be big losses against a team like this. I don't think you can keep a clean sheet against these French forwards all game, but I do think this team is beatable. So I see Argentina winning this game 3-1 and joining the Netherlands in the quarterfinals. On the other side of the bracket, England plays Senegal, and check out how this path lines up for England again. In the 2018 World Cup, England found themselves on the easier side of the bracket with Colombia, Russia, Spain, Croatia, Denmark, instead of the other side which had France, Brazil, Argentina, Germany, Portugal, Uruguay. And I see many of the same teams on the same side again: England, Croatia, Denmark, Spain. It's another good break for the Three Lions in terms of path to the final. Senegal are a team, however, that can make it tricky for them because they like to defend too. They actually probably have the best goalkeeper and the best defender in this game in Mendy and Koulibaly. And then you could say center forward is a wash with Kane and Mane. You have to remember Sadio Mane played in the Premier League for about a decade, so he's played against all of these English players many times over. Yes, England are a deeper team overall, and that's what will probably get them over the line in the end, but it would not surprise me if Senegal pulled a shocker here. I just think the tournament experience England have gotten since 2018 is really positive and will help them. They will be confident about what it takes to win, but they have big expectations now. They are no longer the young team that nobody was expecting to make a semifinal, but I have England winning 1-0. Denmark versus Poland appears to be one of the least sexy round of 16 games on paper, maybe, until you consider it's Robert Lewandowski going against a really solid defense that doesn't concede goals. Kasper Schmeichel, Simone Kjær, and the rest of these guys are going to have nightmares trying to stop all the different ways that he can hurt you. And they have some players now too. Milik up top, Zielinski and Krychowiak in the middle of the park, Bednarek at the back, Szczesny in goal can be world class when he's on form. Poland can sneak up on you if you overlook them. The reason I'm picking Denmark, seems like every time I watch them, they're the more fit team. They literally have more strength all over the field. They may not have a superstar like an Mbappe, but they don't really need one. They embody what it means to be a team, and it's proven to be successful. The interesting thing to note about this game is I have a 2-1 win for Denmark after extra time, which means it ends in 0-0 after 90 minutes, and then all 3 goals come after the additional half hour, with Denmark advancing to face England in a revenge game. Poland are out, but they give it their very all. Back on the left side of the bracket, Germany versus Belgium is a huge game. Belgium's golden generation of players feels like it's trending downward and away from a trophy, whereas Germany's resurgence is here and they're hungry for success again. The first place I go in this game is the midfield, where you have Kevin De Bruyne versus Joshua Kimmich and either Goretzka or Gundogan. Both sides have excellent tactical managers in Roberto Martinez and Hansi Flick. When I look at the defenses, it makes me think this game could have a bunch of goals, but both countries do have outstanding goalkeepers in Manuel Neuer and Thibaut Courtois. I think Lukaku will cause havoc against Rudiger and the rest of the German backline. On the other side, Germany have pace all over the attack, and that's going to be a weakness for Belgium trying to mark those guys with a bunch of slow center backs. I haven't mentioned Eden Hazard because honestly, I'm at the point where if he contributes anything at all, that's a plus because he's just been off it for so long now. I think Germany will get it done in this one, 2-1. Maybe Lukaku is the one that gets on the score sheet for Belgium, but ultimately this is where the road ends again for this generation. They come up empty-handed at a major tournament, this time in the round of 16 against Germany. Next is another gigantic game, probably even bigger than the previous one. Brazil versus Portugal. All the talk will be about Cristiano Ronaldo versus Neymar, but it's bigger than that, I promise you. The relationship between these places is complicated, but what's on the line here is not. Brazil are 5-time winners of the World Cup, while Portugal's only major trophy came at Euro 2016. I think we can see fireworks if these two teams meet. 2 fantastic goalkeepers, although I'd give the edge to Brazil and Alisson. Tite also has a clear edge over Santos as a manager. Pepe and Diaz for Portugal, Thiago Silva and Marquinhos for Brazil. Neymar in a creative role with Vinicius Jr. getting in behind. Bruno and Bernardo Silva running the offense. Cristiano Ronaldo playing striker on one side. Richarlison and a bunch of other exciting Brazilian youngsters on the other end. When I look at the teams on paper, I think one area that sticks out is João Cancelo against Brazil's left back. And I think left back is probably the weakest spot in the Brazil team. So when you have Cancelo as one of the best attacking fullbacks in the world, he could really cause some problems there. When he gets forward though, you're going to have Vinicius Jr. running into that space playing on the left side like he does. I could be here all day with these teams, but I'd love to see this matchup. I do think we'd see probably a high scoring game. So I have it going 4-2 in favor of Brazil. Neymar advances to the quarterfinals at the expense of Cristiano Ronaldo. He leaves what's likely his last World Cup without ever capturing that ultimate prize. Croatia versus Spain meet in the round of 16 just like at Euro 2020. That was a crazy game. Unai Simon howler, Spain goes up 3-1. Croatia scores 2 late goals to force extra time. Spain score 2 goals in extra time and win 5-3. They also met in the group at Euro 2016 where Perisic scored a late goal, beat De Gea, and they won 2-1. I like when these two teams meet because I know we're going to see a battle of 2 insanely good midfields. Luka Modric may be older, but he can still put in a world-class performance against anyone. We've seen that in the Champions League. The problem when you play Spain is they wear you down throughout the game. You can't really press them because they pass right around it, and that really makes them unique. So you end up running around, chasing and defending all game long. And Croatia don't want to play that way. They have some older guys, and they want to play the game at their own pace. I just don't think that's going to happen. Croatia can win this game, but they will have to play a great game defensively, hit on the counter, and hope Spain have an off day. We saw that happen against Russia in 2018 when they went out, so of course it's possible. In the end, I think it's unlikely that Croatia are a team that are good enough to go all the way and win the World Cup. Spain may not be either, to be honest, but I think that's why I wish Croatia would have just won it in 2018. I think that was their moment and now it's gone. So I have Spain winning 2-0 with a goal from one of the youngsters and then maybe Morata or Asensio too. The last game of the round of 16 is Uruguay and Serbia. These teams will probably play a pragmatic style against each other that won't look like the Brazil-Portugal game I described. Neither side will want to give any space out there, so I can see it being a grinded out, set piece type of game. I think the writing is on the wall for this match to go to extra time. I think the game will end 1-1, and then maybe Darwin Nunez wins it late in extra time. So I have 2-1 for Uruguay, but this could also end up in penalties. And if that happens, it's really a coin flip as to who wins. Now we are down to the quarterfinals and the final 8 teams. The Netherlands face Argentina and Messi, with the winner claiming the very first spot in the semifinals. Both of these teams come into the game at 4 wins, no losses. The Netherlands desperately want to win their first ever World Cup, and I legitimately think that it's on the table for them this year. But part of what goes into that is the path you have to take to get there. And I think meeting Argentina at this stage is really cruel, but somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. Argentina also desperately want to win a World Cup for Messi to cement his legacy as the greatest player ever. I think this is a pretty even game on paper, actually. When you look around the 11, the margins will probably be small, and I think Argentina will be the ones who break through in the end, 2-1. Maybe the mentality makes the difference, maybe it's just luck, maybe the football gods are intervening for Messi. If the Netherlands sent him home in the quarterfinals, that would be devastating considering how good their team has been the past 2 years. The Dutch have a bright future without a doubt and will be a force at Euro 2024, but Argentina are my first team that makes it to the Final Four. Germany and Brazil continue the theme of giants colliding in this tournament. Obviously, everyone remembers the humiliating exit for Brazil at World Cup 2014, 7-1 in the semifinals as the host nation. Germany would then go on to beat Argentina as well in the final to become the first ever European side to win the World Cup in the Americas. There's been some talk about the climate in Qatar being favorable to the South American teams because of the heat and humidity resembling their countries back home and that gives them an advantage. I'll pay attention to it, but I'm not sure if that will show up. I think Brazil and Argentina will have an advantage because they look like the 2 best teams in the world entering the tournament. The obvious point to make here is if Brazil win, they would advance to the semifinals and play their biggest rivals, Argentina, in a World Cup semifinal. That would be a massive occasion. It would essentially be a Copa America final, 1 game before the World Cup final. But I think this German team have the capability to beat Brazil. Yes, Brazil are great, but I don't think they are unbeatable. We saw Argentina take advantage of them last year. My bet here would be that Hansi Flick puts pressure on the Brazil team like they haven't seen yet at this World Cup. With Germany, I think it's a whole nother level of manager and tactics they're up against. I can see them putting in a massive performance and eliminating the number 1 ranked team in the world 1-1 after extra time, 4-3 Germany on penalties. So they spoil Neymar's hopes of winning the World Cup and they derail a Brazil-Argentina Messi-Neymar semifinal. Their run ends in heartbreak and the Germans make a huge statement. England and Denmark faced each other in the Euro 2020 semifinals at Wembley, and it's yet another rematch with a lot on the line. Denmark were really good in that game. The Damsgaard free kick was the first goal England conceded at the tournament, and it was the 6th game. England also showed resilience by tying it up and then battling them all the way to the end of extra time, where Sterling got awarded that weak penalty. Even then, Schmeichel saved it from Kane, and Kane knocked in the rebound, and that's what it took to beat Denmark in their own national team stadium in front of their own fans in order for England to make a final. So that should speak volume about the Danes and how tough they are. And in 2022, they've been just as impressive, if not better, with Eriksen coming back. If England want to end the 50 years of pain, this is a game where they're going to have to dig deep. Southgate can't make the same managerial mistakes he's made in the past. They can't sit back and try to defend for 90 minutes. They have to play and they have to attack. You can't win a war by digging a hole. If England do that, I think they have the players to get a 2-0 victory and return to the last 4. The final semifinal spot will go to either Spain or Uruguay. This is a hard game to figure out because it's another opponent that will feel confident in their ability to defend. At times with Spain, they will have insane possession numbers, but the offense will be too much side to side, not playing fast enough, not enough creativity in the final third. You have to do things differently to break down a team that has all the spaces clogged up where you can't run in behind them on counterattacks. This Uruguayan team feels like they're reaching the end of a cycle that has brought them a ton of success. Suarez, Cavani, and Godin will exit this tournament with pride and probably won't be part of international football anymore. We'll see. Spain's combination of youth and experience, though, is what will carry the day in the end. Welcome to the semifinals now, where Brazil and Uruguay losing means Argentina are the last South American team left standing against 3 European sides. This is a rematch of the 2014 World Cup final, where Mario Götze scored a 113th minute goal, stealing a World Cup away from Argentina at the Maracanã. They've met in 2 other World Cup finals too, 2 of the most successful nations ever in this sport. Messi will meet Neuer again, and he will want to make good on his miss in that 2014 final. That was Messi's moment to make an impact, and he skipped it just inches wide of the post. I think he and Argentina will be excited that Germany is their opponent in this one. I think this game would be like a lot of semifinals, anxious, maybe a little sloppy. You can't help but feel the nerve sometimes, and weird things always happen in big games. I have no doubt Germany will put up a fight, but I think Argentina will beat them 1-0 and reach the World Cup final again. So redemption for Messi, second trip to the final, a crazy accomplishment on its own, and he will get another chance to play for the World Cup after losing 8 years ago. In the other semifinal, England versus Spain is a European matchup we haven't seen too often over the past decade. They've only played 5 times since 2010, 3 friendlies, and 2 Nations League games. I think this game will suit Spain because of how England like to sit back, and I think Spain will find it easier to break down England than, say, a team like Uruguay. Southgate has not proven to be a good tactical manager, and you're going to find it really difficult to beat this Spanish side with that deficiency. The place where England can hurt them is with their attackers against the center backs. Spain like ball-playing center backs because of their passing style, but that doesn't always mean they are playing elite defenders out there. It helps that they always are possessing the ball, meaning they aren't forced to defend all game. I think England should have made the final in 2018 if we're being honest. So do they do it this time? No. Spain will win 3-1 and all the English fans will be sad again, probably call for the manager to be sacked, I'm sure. It's just not coming home ever. They will have to go again at the next tournament. Before the final on Sunday, we have the 3rd place game on Saturday featuring Germany and England, 2 old enemies. It's hard to gauge a game like this because when you lose 1 game short of the World Cup final, those raw emotions are hard to deal with. And yeah, the players may play hard and want to win a 3rd place medal, but these guys wear their emotions on their sleeve. You can't hide that pain of getting so close and failing. So you could honestly flip a coin here. I think maybe Germany will be eager to get revenge on England for eliminating them at Wembley in the Euros. It would probably feel good to send them home extra sad from Qatar. They just played a crazy 3-3 game in the Nations League. So there's definitely an abundance of goal-scoring talent to go around. I think the England players may care a little less because they played in this game in 2018 also, whereas Germany had an all-time poor showing for them at a World Cup. So Germany finished 3rd in Qatar with a 2-0 W. Now it's time for the World Cup final. Argentina are meeting Spain. Game 64 of 64. The end of a long road and a long month culminates with the pinnacle of the sport. We've had to wait 4.5 years for this ultimate moment. These players have dreamed their whole lives of playing for immortality one day. This one will be at the Lusail Stadium in Doha. Obviously, both teams will put everything and more on the line to win this game. It feels like Argentina will have to employ their strategy from the Copa America final to win this game. Sit in a 4-4-2, defend hard, try to play on the counter, and see if Messi can create a magical moment like Di Maria did. I think both teams will get a goal, making it 1-1. After 90 minutes, I'll say Messi does score along with, I don't even know who from Spain, could be anyone, even one of the defenders. Late in extra time, I don't think Messi will be the one who scores the goal, but I think he'll serve up the World Cup winning assist for Argentina. Maybe the football gods didn't want him to win in 2014 in their blue away kits. Maybe it's gotta be the light blue and white stripes, the iconic Argentina kit. But the whistle blows and Argentina beats Spain 2-1. After extra time and before they head to a penalty shootout. Lionel Messi wins the World Cup. Arguably the greatest player ever, makes it happen, gets it done. That's how this story ends. A great team also extends its unbeaten run to 42 games, breaking Italy's streak of 37 and setting a new international record. Messi joins Maradona in Argentina history, and they break the streak of 4 consecutive European World Cup winners. Now, before this video ends, I said I would give out awards, and this is the time for them, after the final. First award is the Golden Ball, which is the best player of the tournament. If Argentina wins this World Cup, it's a lock that Messi will win it, for the second time. Messi won it in 2014 after losing the final to Germany, so that's a pretty safe bet. Modric actually did the same thing in 2018, won the Golden Ball after losing the final. To be clear, I don't think your team necessarily has to win the World Cup to deserve the award. If Argentina go out early though, some other names to look at are Neymar, Mbappe, Benzema, Vinicius Jr., Kane, I guess Ronaldo. Next is the Golden Boot, which goes to the player who scores the most goals. It has to be someone who is not only a goal scorer, but also someone who takes penalties for their team. That's the easiest way to end up with like 6 tournament goals, which is roughly what it'll take to win this. You also have to go deep into the tournament so you can have more games played and more opportunities. Harry Kane is the favorite to win again, and I'll pick him, but one to watch would be Lautaro Martinez, Argentina's striker. Next is the Golden Glove, goes to the best goalkeeper of the tournament. If Argentina wins it, I wouldn't say it's a lock that Emi Martinez wins the award. My prediction is that Alisson of Brazil will win it. In reality though, Brazil will probably have to go a bit further in the tournament for this to happen. Best young player goes to the best young player who is at most 21 years old. Mbappe won it at the 2018 World Cup, Paul Pogba in 2014. Pedri won it at Euro 2020, and he definitely could win it in Qatar. In fact, he's probably the favorite to do so. Best young player is hard because you have to get a lot of playing time to make the impact needed to win this. So the names that immediately come to mind are Pedri, Vinicius Jr., Jude Bellingham, Gavi, Jamal Musiala. I'm going to go with Pedri because I know he will be playing every single minute for Spain. If I knew Musiala was going to play a lot for Germany, I would probably pick him. Alright guys, well that's the end. Thank you guys so much for watching and taking the time to listen to me. I know this is a really long video. Leave a fire emoji in the comments so I know you made it this far. In terms of the World Cup, I love it and it's almost here, so I can't wait. If we get these matchups that I just went over, I think it'll be the best World Cup of all time, and it may not be close. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about everything. I will be reading them. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys again here soon.